Good morning and welcome to the National Women's Enterprise Day. We have an incredible lineup featuring well-known entrepreneurs, rising stars, business strategists and advisors. We're going to talk about everything from building an export-led business to learning new financial skills and building sustainability into your business. The schedule is action-packed with topical panel discussions, masterclasses and presentations from a range of experts and inspiring leaders. Today's event comes at a time, I know, when many of you are exhausted and just wondering where is the next energy transfusion going to come from. Some of you may be hitting a reset, thinking about another reinvention, and others amongst you, I imagine, are now deep into excited planning for 2022 and beyond. Wherever you're at today is an opportunity to step out of the daily grind and the firefighter mode and give yourself now some much deserved thinking time. Time to learn, to ask questions, to strategize, and to connect with like-minded people, but also to discover ways in which your ideas can be supported by your local enterprise office. If this last year was about constantly repeating the words of Glennon Doyle, "We can do hard things," I hope this next year is going to be about repeating the words of Tara Moore. Playing big is about being more loyal to your dreams than to your fears. I've no doubt you're going to leave here today feeling inspired, motivated, energized. Today is an opportunity to celebrate each other on surviving a fraught year. But I also hope you're going to leave here today with a list of plans, tasks and actions, because today is also an opportunity to commit to new plans for 2022. My challenge to each of you today is to find one tangible reason to contact your local enterprise office in the next few days to ask them for help, whether that's financial, mentoring or networking help, whatever it is you're looking for. We have a huge number of women registered for today's event from every county, every sector, who are at different stages of their business journey. We're thrilled you've taken this time out for you and your business today. You're amongst your tribe now this morning. And here at National Women's Enterprise Day, there's no such thing as an obvious or a stupid question. We want you to ask questions of our speakers throughout the day. So you can do that by going to the sessions button on your screen. There you can click on the Q&A desk and type in your questions. Throughout the day, we're also going to have 31 spot prizes to give away, which have been generously sponsored by local enterprise offices and their clients around the country. Prizes range from food hampers and gift boxes to vouchers and one-off design pieces. To be in with a chance of winning between now and 4 p.m, simply post on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram with a reference to one of today's speakers. And make sure to include the hashtags NWED and Build the Future to be considered valid. Bonus if you tag your local enterprise office. We would love to get those hashtags trending across social media this morning so that others are aware of the important, impactful work everyone is doing here. Now, to give us our first energy transfusion of the day, we're joined by the co-chairs of NWED 2021, Vibeke, Delahunt, Head of Enterprise for Leo Wicklow, and Jacqui McNabb, Head of Enterprise for Leo Kildare. You're welcome. And Vibeke, I'm going to come first to you, and Jacqui, you're joining us remotely. Vibeke, talk to me a little bit about the approach this year, the themes that we're really going to spend the day talking about.
Well, first of all, thanks a million for opening today. I'm thrilled to be here together with Jacqui, and we're just so delighted. We're in our 15th year, so we're celebrating that. And we want to celebrate that by looking forward, by really looking towards the future and to dwell on all the critical elements that we all need in our business, both to strengthen your own business skills, but also to strengthen your business for the future, because there's other challenging times ahead. So throughout the day today, we're going to look at innovation and how to innovate your business, because it's well proven that businesses that innovate, and of course a lot of businesses did innovate last year and pivoted and had to, generally perform much better and are stronger in the marketplace. Also, we'll be looking at competitiveness, which is very strongly related to it, and your competitive advantage over your competitors and how to build brand loyalty. of course, sustainability really has to be at the center of everything we do right now, and how to tackle your carbon footprint of your business, how to bring that down. And there's many supports in the local enterprise office to do that. So I'm delighted that later on in the session we'll be looking at other businesses, how they've done it, how they've taken that first step. And how you really can look at your rising energy costs, how to reduce those, the packaging, food waste, or other waste that you have in your business, and come out with a strategy to tackle that. And then lastly, of course, we all have to stay abreast of digitalization, and that's a challenge for everybody. And there's always a better way to do things in your business. And we're delighted to have an expert here later on to tell us all about that.
Great.
Yeah.
And Jacqui, to bring you in at this point, Jacqui, the goal of today, you want to get overwhelmed with emails and phone calls to local enterprise offices in the coming days.
Absolutely, and thank you, Anya. And I'm here down in Kildare holding office this morning. I suppose, today undoubtedly is going to be an absolutely superb event, and I'd like to thank all of those who are going to contribute in so many ways. And the engagement will obviously be energetic. However, to use the words of Jack Cantwell, or a formula he uses, event plus responses equals success. So today is a great day, but it's the businesswomen of the country. How you respond to this event will equal the success you will have in the coming weeks and months. And that's why we urge each and every one of you to get in contact with your local enterprise office. And as you said previously, Anya, is to action. You will be delivered a suite of services today, one equal to another, depending on your needs. Pick one, two of those and act out and take it to the next level. And that will make a success for us in the enterprise office, and equally a success for ye as businesswomen.
Thanks for that, Jacqui. And we will talk all day today, Vibeke, about the various different supports, be they financial, social capital, networking opportunities, mentorship. But one tangible thing that I feel like a lot of people have gravitated towards this past year has been the online trading vouchers. Can you give an example of how that has really worked for people over the last 18 months? So people can be thinking about how, to Jacqui's point, they're going to convert today into action.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the uptake on the trading online voucher, which is support towards enhancing your website and your e-commerce capability, has been phenomenal over the last year. And it was very much driven because businesses had to find other revenue streams to stay alive. So for many businesses, their website actually was their only way of creating a revenue stream, or they could be selling through Facebook or other social channels. But really, the trading online voucher can be used for a suite of interventions. I mean, you can use it to engage a digital marketing consultant and do some work for you. You can upgrade your website, of course. But what is also very important to bear in mind is how important video testimonials can be and how strong they are. So you can engage a videographer or a photographer to take some really good production or product shots. And of course, it's really, really important that you can really engage with your customers, because customers are looking for that now. They're looking to have their order fulfilled very quickly. And to find out really what you have to offer. So maybe to look at communication channels through your website, because many retailers have started introducing that now. And when you're looking for a particular product, you can get feedback immediately, and that's really what is very important to customers.
Right. And Jacqui, in all of that, I often think with a lot of these supports available that there can be a misconception there that your local enterprise office is there for you at the start of a journey, when truly it's there at every stage, no matter how far on you are to the scale and growth. So we have to kind of fix, I think, sometimes that misconception.
Absolutely, and many women who have registered in today will experience really great, not just client engagement, but friendships. And testament to that with their local enterprise office is one of our keynote speakers today, Rachel Doyle of the Arboretum. Rachel obviously avails of the services of Carlow Local Enterprise Office. But Rachel is 44 years in business. I worked previously in Carlow. I'm 26 years engaging in a personal relationship. And Rachel surely will explain to you how she's not afraid to ask for support at any level of her business engagement. So I, like many of my colleagues across the country, we deal with clients not as data, but we are genuinely interested in the service and product they're trying to produce. And we want to work with them and grow with them and become part of their team to the next level or to the level they can achieve. So absolutely, it's a lifetime commitment from your local enterprise office if you need the support.
And Jacqui, to stay on this theme, you talked earlier about converting awareness into action. What do you think is that gap sometimes between a lot of us knowing that the support is there and actually reaching out and saying, I need your help?
Okay, well, I'm probably going to challenge an awful lot of women's business thinking, but as a woman, I can say this. I think we're often held back in success by our inaction. And sometimes as women who, juggle so many things, we often find that or see asking for help as somewhat as a weakness. In most other professionals out there in careers, asking for help and building strong teams around you is actually a strength, and a strength of commitment and understanding. And so what I'd ask is, to realize that there is support there for you. And, nobody expects you to know everything, and nobody expects you to do everything on your own. And at the height of the opening, you said, there is no stupid question. All of us ask that question on a day previous. So, ask for the help. I don't think it's a lack of knowledge. I think it's simply an inaction. And we do that as women, whether it's exercise, food, childcare, or business. It's the inaction that most likely holds us back.
That's great advice. So Jacqui Strong there on just ask for the help. Vibeke, for you today, what's the mindset you'd like people to leave with? But also just functionally, come 5 o'clock this evening, whether emotionally or on a practical sense, what should they be going with?
Well, I suppose at the end of the day, you can't say it any better than just do it.
Yeah.
There's opportunities out there. Look for them, grab them, challenge yourself, and know that you can do it. And you don't have to do it on your own. We're here to help.
And I know today, Vibeke, is made possible by a huge team of people. This has been 12 months in planning. It's the 15th year. You want to give thanks and gratitude to some people out there behind the scenes today.
Yeah, if I can very quickly just thank our leading lights, first of all. These are our 31 female entrepreneurs with our success stories that will be featured throughout the day. They've put in Trojan amount of work to promote this and to be featured today. Of course, I want to thank Jacqui and her team in Kildare and my own team in Wicklow, as well as our colleagues in Enterprise Ireland, Declan Lee and Mary Lynch and all the others. And then there is an army of volunteers helping out, all the NWED coordinators throughout the Leo offices helping out today as well. And of course, I want to thank you, Aine. You're doing a great job.
My pleasure to be here. Jacqui, have you any final words of inspiration to leave us with?
No, I go back to Jack Cantwell and Chicken Soup for the Soul, Aine. Your responses, how you respond today equals the successful outcomes you will have in your business. So I challenge every woman in attendance to action. Contact your local enterprise on some element of what you hear today and allow it to benefit you and your business.
Okay, well, thank you to Vibeke Delahunt, Head of Enterprise Leo Wicklow, to you, Jacqui McNabb, Head of Enterprise Leo Kildare, co-chairs of organising today's event. A reminder, given everything that Vibeke and Jacqui talked about there, you can find out more about all of those resources and supports over on the localenterprise.ie/NWED website, and we'll continue to call that out all through the day. One of the first things you'll actually see when you go to that website today and in the coming days is a map pointing you to all of the offices and all of their contact details. So no excuses here for that inaction that Jacqui talks about. Now, to formally launch this morning's event on Taoiseach and Minister for Enterprise, Trade and Employment, Leo Varadkar.
Good morning, everyone. Leo Varadkar here, Taoiseach and Minister for Enterprise, Trade and Employment. First of all, it's a pleasure to welcome you to this year's National Women's Enterprise Day. Unfortunately, we can't meet in person, but I know you'll find today's programme really enjoyable and worthwhile. It's a chance to hear firsthand from female entrepreneurs about their experiences and to learn more about the crucial challenges facing businesses today, such as how can we use digital technologies to make our businesses more efficient? How can we use social media to drive growth? And what grants are available to help businesses expand abroad? When I spoke at the National Women's Enterprise Day last year, we were only 6 months into the pandemic. A lot has happened since then, and the pandemic has gone on for longer than many of us expected. But with 92% of people now fully vaccinated and consumer spending leading a recovery in the domestic economy, I believe we have reason to be hopeful again. We have reason to start looking beyond COVID and the pandemic. The theme of today's event, Build for the Future, is about exactly that. We can now look to the future and look at both the challenges and opportunities that it provides. With new opportunities in sustainability and digitalisation, today's event will focus on which grants and training are available and highlight the benefits for your business. Just this week, the government published our updated National Development Plan, which includes 2 new funds to help businesses respond to the twin challenges we face, going digital and going green. And we'll be looking at further ways to support small businesses in the months ahead. More generally, the government is pursuing a series of initiatives to promote gender equality across Irish society. This will include proposals from the Citizens' Assembly on gender equality, which has made recommendations to advance gender equality in a wide range of areas, incorporating childcare, leadership in politics and public life, the workplace, social protection, education, and constitutional issues. To the work of Balance for Better Business, we're promoting gender balance in senior management positions, including executive leadership teams and company boards. And we're looking to increase women-led startups and scale-ups through the Enterprise Ireland Action Plan for Women in Business. This targets a rise in the share of women-led exporting companies from 10% to 20% by 2025. Last year, we saw over 13,000 businesses go online with the Trading Online voucher, many of which would never be considered had it not been for the need to close our doors to protect our communities. These businesses now have a new way of trading, a new income stream, and the potential to trade internationally. Clearly, the pandemic has accelerated some of the changes that were already happening in our society and prompted a wave of innovation that might otherwise have taken years to embed. As the world is changing, enterprises need to stay ahead of the curve. It's vital that we continue to support our female entrepreneurs, and National Women's Enterprise Day always helps to highlight how far we've come. Year on year, the number of attendees grows, and the calibre of female entrepreneurs we are talking about improves. Though the trends are encouraging, we must continue to do our part in helping to promote female entrepreneurship anytime we can. We need to keep the female entrepreneur visible in the mind's eye of our future business leaders. If they can't see it, they can't be it. And Ireland has some of the world's best businesswomen that future generations can aspire to emulate. In 2020, 50% more women engaged in training and upskilling with their local enterprise office in comparison to their male counterparts. There was a significant increase in women accessing training in 2020 when compared with 2019, up from 23,000 to 47,000. This indicates that when the pandemic hit and businesses needed to pivot, our female entrepreneurs led the charge in upskilling and adapting themselves. Today you'll hear from those that have been there and done exactly that. From Rachel Doyle, who created a horticulture institution, the Arboretum, 45 years ago, literally growing it from her back garden, to Aimee Connolly, who has utilised the power of social media to grow her beauty business and create her own products. And Sharon Keegan, who wanted to create a more inclusive fashion business and of course got the better of the dragons in the UK. There's a blend of those who have been there, those who've just started, and a range of trainers, mentors and business experts that can give you the tools to build your future in business. We as a government are committed to supporting any entrepreneur either starting or growing a business. Through the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment and our agencies, the local enterprise offices and Enterprise Ireland, the financial supports, mentoring and training are there at every stage of your business development, from idea right through to exporting around the world. So enjoy today's event, use it as an opportunity to develop ideas, learn, innovate, and consider how you can improve your businesses and help us build for the future. Thank you very much.
And thank you to Antóiste Leo Varadkar for those opening remarks. A reminder that you can ask questions of our speakers throughout the day by going to the sessions button on your screen, clicking on the Q&A desk and typing in your questions. The sessions button will also bring you to the help desk if you're experiencing any technical issues. Keep your social posts with the hashtags NWED and Build the Future coming in order to be in with a chance of winning one of the 31 spot prizes on offer between now and 4 p.m. If you want to watch back any of today's sessions, all of the recordings will be available over on the coming days on the local enterprise.ie/NWED website. In the meantime, if you hear of any grants or programs that you'd like to learn about, the NWED website has a resources folder with all the relevant information, but also contact details for your local enterprise offices. From now until 12:15 here on the main stage, we're going to hear from 5 leading lights: Denise O'Grady on how we can continually evolve as leaders, Larissa Feeney on our key financial numbers, and Aimee Connolly on how she boosted sales by 300% last year. At 12:15, a reminder that you will leave this main stage and have the option of joining one of the 5 spotlight sessions for 45 minutes. You can check these out under the schedule, under reception on this event platform. From there at 1 p.m, you have the option of an energizer session for 40 minutes or networking with each other before we regroup at 2 p.m. here on the main stage for the afternoon sessions. Now, every year, as you know, local enterprise offices select their leading lights. These are entrepreneurs who have shown tremendous courage, resilience, leadership and innovation. This year's 5 leading lights have used a combination of ideas, innovation and action to drive success in their business. You're very welcome, all of you, to National Women's Enterprise Day. I'm going to start with some introductions. On your screens, you're going to see now Susie O'Neill of AU Cosmetics, and that's a cosmetics company dedicated to empowering women with the tools and knowledge to bring out their best selves. Lorraine Lynch of the Child Psychology Institute, who specialises in working with children and families beset with health and psychological issues. Sharon Keegan of Peachy Lean, who is on a mission to help women to feel comfy and supported in their skin. Karen Dunlea of Core Optimization, a straight-talking digital agency that helps you navigate online channels and enjoy performance-based results. And finally, we have Kayling of Kay Kaju Jewels, a handcrafted jewellery label based in County Kilkenny, encompassing everyday wedding and formal pieces that are just beautiful. Now, what all 5 of these amazing women have in common is their risk-taking, their constant iteration, quickly spotting gaps in their markets, and a constant commitment to talking to their customers and building from the outside in. You're very welcome, all of you. Good morning. Susie, I'm going to come to you first. Because you have really stapled and ingrained into everything you do this idea of empowering women, which is such obviously an important theme. But how do you go about taking a value and a principle like that and embedding it into your product, your team, your everyday?
I think for me, it's all about like cosmetics to me, having a bit of concealer, just making myself feel better on the outside definitely makes me feel better on the inside. And coming from a place where I probably wasn't always so confident, I know how that can change and it can bring me back to myself. So for us, it's really a lot about educational content and talking to our customers each and every day and sharing the highs and the lows so that, you know, we can relate to them and they can relate to us. And I also have a really strong passion about just building other women up. We have a team of 10 women here, and pretty much everybody has kids. And I just feel like that we have to support each other and build each other up for things to be successful. So we try and kind of put that across online as well for all our customers.
I imagine for you, Sharon, a lot of what Susie is talking about resonates, because you have on your desk, if I'm correct in saying this, a sign that says it's only women's leggings, which I think was a response of an investor once upon a time. And I think you're having the last laugh with this. But why that sign, and why look at it every day?
Oh, I really agree with what Susie's saying. It's about building people up. And I remember an investor in a very influential position telling me that it was only women's leggings and I would never scale this business and I would never seek or gain investment. And I have it coined, it's been coined by a good friend of mine, Ciara Sheehan, and given to me as a present just to remind me that we can scale, we can sell just women's leggings and empower women all over the world. And I laugh every morning when I look at that sign.
Well, I imagine you are having the last laugh with it, Sharon, and more on that later, given your phenomenal year. To come to you, Kay, you decided to leave a career in financial services to do what you do today as a jewellery designer. And you really had to sit down at the very beginning of your journey and ask yourself the question, what is the worst that can happen? It's a good place to start. Is it something that you still wrestle with all of the time out there as a business leader today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to that point, it was definitely a big decision. But, when you run through the pros and cons and, sometimes you just have to take a risk. And what is the worst that can happen? You still have your education, your qualifications, your work experience. And if anything, that experience can make you all the stronger for the next thing you go on and do. But it is something I think in my business that I do sit back periodically and go, okay, we are where we are now. What if, doomsday scenario arose, then, what would we do? How would we try and manage that? How can we try and counteract that and get ahead of it? But, as the last 18 months have shown us, you certainly can't plan for everything. So you have to be able to roll with the punches too.
And for you, Caroline, when you were starting out, you had a real rigour and discipline to getting the processes right from the get-go. I like to call it the unsexy plumbing, the boring stuff, but it's often the boring stuff that's going to make a company work for years to come. That's been a really important discipline that you bedded in from the get-go to make sure that you are actually building for scale and growth.
Yeah, I think, look, definitely, I suppose I took the learnings that I had working in a company that was ambitious and that was scaling and that was growing. And, I acknowledged the kind of growing pains that they had. And when I was starting up core optimization, I said, okay, well, what have I learned from that already? And what do I not want to do? What type of company do we want to be? And I suppose, standing back and having some time before actually, launching core allowed me to say, okay, well, what is our best setup for success? What do we need in terms of systems? And I think big, you're not thinking like any kind of recommendations I would give to any entrepreneur thinking about setting up is don't think about it just being yourself. Don't think about it just in terms of what you look like today. Think bigger. Think about when you're 5 or 10 or 15 employees. And set yourself up, automate as much as you possibly can, get the processes set up, get the support, think about what's out there. And I think the more you can do that in advance, and it's very difficult, look, as you're growing and you're scaling and, there's things coming in at you left, right and center, but if you do that at the start, it will really help you set yourself up for success. One of the big things, just a kind of a very small story for me, just one of the things was I was at an event a number of years ago, very similar to this, and Catherine Moroney was speaking at the event, and at the time, I think we were a year or two and we were just starting to take on 1 or 2 people within the team. And I was having sleepless nights thinking about cash flow and, there's more responsibility other than just myself. And so one of the things that we actually, that she said was, there's so many supports out there for you. And she was talking about overdrafts. And I went away and I got an overdraft straight away. And immediately, that little concern that wasn't really a problem was just gone out of my head. And it was another thing I didn't need to worry about. So I would say, give yourself a break, set yourself up, look at what's there. And yeah, some of that boring stuff is the important stuff that frees your mind up to think about some of the exciting stuff.
Great. And for you, Lorraine, when you were starting out, you were taking obviously years of expertise and trying to kind of test a concept and do it quickly. And you did that by simply, and I don't mean to reduce it, but by creating a newsletter and figuring out through a newsletter, okay, is there something here that people actually need? Is there appetite for it? And from there you built from that simple start.
Yeah, I think that for me, I had a number of years working clinically with families and children, and I saw that there was a gap there, a niche there around educating teachers as well, and educating parents where they can access education from their homes, they can access information about child psychology from their homes without judgment, etc. So it was actually, yeah, my first baby was 2 months old and I was at home, and like, I love my work, so I wasn't really able to just, stop, and it didn't feel like me just existing, being a mother. So my brain started operating, and I said I would just test it. And I suppose one thing that I feel really strongly about is working authentically and working in integrity with yourself. And if you intuitively feel or know that there's a need there in the market, then you have to test it. You absolutely have to test it. And so the easiest way for me to do that, and it was easy because I only had one hand. I was breastfeeding Alva and I had one hand to work away. So yeah, MailChimp, and, sent some information out, set up a very basic website, got approval from the Department of Education and released my first course. And I just did it very much as a pilot. I had nothing to lose and I wanted to give, and it worked out really well. So once I knew that that was a model that worked, I was able then to go hell for leather in 2020.
It's such an important reminder, what you're talking about there, Lorraine, of absolutely knowing the problem that you're trying to solve for. Because I think every day as business leaders, you have to fall in love again every day with the problem that you're trying to solve and be really confident about that gap in the market and being almost obsessive about it. And for you, Susie, like, that's where it started for you. You were a makeup artist, you were someone who was out training all the time, and you realised, actually, there's a problem here when it comes to the basic tools that colleagues and students were using.
Absolutely, yeah. And, it was from listening to women when I was doing makeup lessons and teaching and hearing that it was the same issue they were having all the time, where they felt they were kind of excluded from this community of beauty and cosmetics. And I wanted it to be that everybody could access it and everybody could be a part of it, and, it could benefit everybody. And I think that's, for me, what's so powerful about it. And like you were saying there, it's about trying to get that message across that we are all worthy and we all deserve to have all the things that we want to have. And like Sharon's, it's just leggings. Like, a lot of people would say to me, oh, it's just makeup, but it's on a totally different scale. It's what it does for you and for your confidence and for how it makes you feel. Because I always feel like if you're feeling good in yourself, you're going to, radiate that out, and it's going to just grow legs, and you become more and more confident each day. And you become to like yourself more, which then makes you more productive, happier. It's a total knock-on effect.
And to stay with you for a minute, Susie, so you identified your problem, you became this one-woman band out of the spare room, building your products, distributing them, doing your PR, marketing, everything, all things to all people. But when did you know it was time to hire more people around you, that you could delegate and you could now ensure that you're not doing all of these things and firefighting, but that you're really thinking about, okay, growth, scale, but I need to hire now?
You know what? I actually was probably later than I should have been employing our first members, because, like Caroline, I had that fear of having somebody else's livelihood on my shoulders. So we only actually started growing our team about 3.5 years ago now, and it really was the best thing I ever did. But it was longer than it should have been. But I knew it at that stage. I had so many balls in the air that I just couldn't do everything, and I was reaching breaking point and trying to be a mum, a wife, a businesswoman, like trying to be all the things all the time, and I just ran myself into the ground. So once I kind of can tell myself, okay, I could, pay one wage, and then like that, once you get used to it, it makes it a little bit easier. But there's always that fear initially, I think, of taking people on, because you are responsible for them then. But the things that happen once you do share the load are just amazing. Like, you just get so much more time to focus and to, just see where you need to go and concentrate on the things that'll help you scale and get your message out further.
Yeah, it always feels risky, but you have to kind of lean into it, don't you, in order to make sure, actually, I'm not going to stay standing still. And I hope for you, Sharon, given that you've had Dragon's Den and incredible coverage of all that you stand for and all that you do, that you've been able to hire. But tell us a little bit about how life, how business has maybe changed in the months since Dragon's Den.
Well, God, I said this the other day. It was like, I suppose, like a tsunami really hit us and the team. We've actually quite a small team in comparison to, you know, the sales that we've achieved this year. But we really, really worked our socks off to really just manage the traffic and the tsunami of sales that came at us from both the UK, Ireland, and across the globe. Actually, there was sales in America and Australia and Japan and everything. It was just phenomenal. And what a great platform to share the Irish story about a female founder who, you know, designed a product out of actually a depression. You know, I needed this product. I needed a community of supportive women around me. And I just really thought really of creating the community first. But then I thought, well, if we create the product, maybe we can create community around that. And it really just all filtered into that word support. And little did I know there was so many people that felt the same way. And it's like all of these women here building communities and trying to empower women who are not only female founders, but mothers and partners and, you know, wives as well. So it's been phenomenal. It really has been great growth and great Irish success story this year.
Oh, congrats. It's so great to hear. And given that it was broadcast in the UK, have you had to really think about that market at a time when we're still dealing with Brexit and kind of try to buck the trend? And how are you navigating that when others are having to think about all of these regulations and maybe thinking, actually, UK, we'll have to come back to that until there's greater clarity? I imagine you're having to lean into that market at this difficult time.
Yeah, we were kind of forced into really building ourselves in the UK, and it was a great platform actually, and I'd recommend it to anyone. If you need contacts, here I am. But you know, it is a great platform to, and you have to really strategically think about how you're going to enter that market, because you do have to have a separate fulfillment operation. The e-commerce business model in the UK is so much more advanced. You know, they're, dare I say, spoiled in the UK for next day delivery and free return. So we really had to look at that as an investment in the UK market, opening up separate fulfillment centres, you know, a new marketing team, and then leaning into that marketing and I suppose learning how to market ourselves for a conservative price, because it can be a very expensive marketplaces as it is very, very crowded also. So yeah, it was a great platform to launch into the UK, and it's ongoing. Like, we're working really, really hard to really build ourselves over there. So it can be challenging.
Very good. And we'll come back to tease through some of those practical hows later, Sharon. But to bring you back in, Kay, you had been investing in your website for years. And I imagine there were times you were like, God, is this the best use of my hard-earned cash? But 18 months ago, when we're struck with a once-in-a-century lifetime event, you finally saw actually year-on-year investment in your website was immediately paying off.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said earlier, you certainly can't predict everything that's going to happen in the future. But when I was sitting back and looking at my business, it was very obvious that I had a massive dependency on my retail business. And while that is a brilliant market to have a foothold in, I was definitely concerned that if anything were to happen to those relationships, that I was in a very compromised position. So over time, I kept working on my website. I think I'm on the 4th iteration of it now. And 2 of those, maybe even 2.5 of those, have been backed by the local enterprise. So I found, you know, the trading online vouchers and the TAME grants absolutely amazing to make sure that you're making the best of what your business can be online. So, you know, I definitely was very fortunate in the sense that when COVID hit and we realized, you know, following the showcase show in the January of 2020, which would be your kind of wholesale show for the retail space, you know, that orders were either cancelled or they were locked away in shops that weren't going to be opened again for months. So I was certainly fortunate that my website was there, and all I had to really try and do was turn on the traffic and try and increase engagement and conversion rates. So again, I was very engaged with the local enterprise with the mentoring program, and that really did pay off. I think regardless of whether you're going to do something yourself within your business or if you're going to outsource it, you need to understand it, and you need to understand it from bottom up. So I think that was a really good opportunity for me to sort of immerse myself in the language of websites and, you know, what really does make a difference. And I am lucky as well in the sense that I have a small following on social media. But it's a very engaged following. You know, I do have a very high conversion rate, so there is a great community growing around my brand, and that's very reassuring because, you know, you can be looking at the numbers and going, why aren't these, you know, you can, again, it's death by comparison, but you can compare yourselves to other companies and your numbers don't stack up. But, you know, when you look at your conversion rate, you say, okay, well, there are people out there who do like my product and, you know, who are engaged in the brand. So, you know, all of that was reassuring at a definitely a very rocky time.
And Kate, you were B2B, you've had to really hone the B2C, going direct to your consumers with that online experience. Now here, as we look into 2022, do you think it's going to shift again, or do you think, no, there's now some predictable known consumer behaviours and that there's going to be a lot more digital first shopping rather than the physical stores?
I think that's a very interesting one. And I think looking back over the last 18 months, it definitely sort of flip-flop between the two. It was like lockdown online, things open up again back in stores. So, you know, it was a very sort of tumultuous time in that sense that you're kind of changing hats all the time. But going forward, I think there is going to be more of a digital first approach from consumers. I think that's borne out in a lot of research that you're seeing lately coming through from, you know, the likes of PwC reports and that. But also, I think that so many companies have worked to make the online experience so frictionless and so smooth that, you know, it makes sense for some things that you've purchased in the past and they've been a good and smooth experience to repeat that behavior. So, you know, again, it's difficult to say, but I do think, you know, while customers do love shopping in store and they do love that immersive experience, I do think there will be an element of convenience in online shopping.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think even from what we're seeing as a digital agency, like, you know, there's and talking to a number of different clients, I think the digital first approach is here. People still do love to be able to go in and touch and feel products, and that's not going to change. But even in terms of how people are driving people into stores, so I think the two are always going to go hand in hand. But new behaviours have been adopted by people, and they're very, very comfortable. People that would have been kind of a little bit more resistant to online shopping before have definitely embraced it. And it's that whole, I suppose, accessibility to products and to brands and to feel connected to brands has become so much easier online in the last 12 months. And the pandemic has definitely helped to accelerate that for a lot of businesses, which has been really great to see. Like,
yeah, I think omni-platform is definitely the approach to take, but I think you've got to consider your in-store experience as part of that approach. You know, they really do, as you say, Caroline, they really do go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And Caroline, to stay with you for a moment, and reminder to our audience, we've loads of time left with our 5 leading lights. Do get your questions in by going to sessions, click into Q&A, and you can get writing comments, feedback in there. I'm monitoring it here in real time. But Caroline, you have built, I think, out to 70 clients around the world now at this point. But I imagine building those relationships, those sales pipelines has been really hard over the last 18 months when you're not in the boardrooms, you know, getting their sense of energy and being able to eyeball them.
Yeah, look, it has. There's no question. I think the pandemic hit everybody immediately in kind of with shockwaves, didn't it? But like for a business like ourselves, where I suppose we're very much a B2B business, helping support other businesses to grow their brands and their revenues online, the pandemic probably had a positive impact on our business. We've grown, like, you know, our business is about 6 years old. We've been fortunate enough to grow kind of year on year in a steady growth. But over the last 18 months, we've had, you know, tremendous success. And it comes back to, for me, for I suppose, in terms of that kind of building that pipeline, it comes back to reputation. And as a company, we kind of hold our hat on, hang our hat on like relationships and results. And it's really important for a company like ourselves to be able to demonstrate the results to clients. But we can only do that when we have a very close relationship with our clients. And so, you know, our pipeline has been primarily built on referral business, which has been really great to see. But throughout the pandemic, what it has done is it has kind of brought an opportunity to a business like us. So we did actually, for the first time, we did take on a business development manager through COVID, which is the first time we actually had, you know, looked at that, just because there was so much opportunity and there's such a demand for digital services at the moment. So that's kind of what we would have done. And we would have, I suppose, you know, we have a strong business in the UK. And again, that would have been built through maybe people moving from one company to another, having had worked with us, having had seen the results, and then having had, you know, wanted to work with us again. But look, in terms of moving forward, there's a very strong strategic approach there in terms of growth. And I think looking at the supports that are there to help you, whether that's local enterprise office, you know, initiatives like Going for Growth, which is superb, and then Enterprise Ireland, to look at what supports are there to help you to scale, to grow your team, to invest in your team so that they can help support you with that growth and with those kind of new business initiatives that you will have, you know. So yeah, it's been challenging, but it's been a very exciting time for us, and I think for a lot of businesses, which is great.
Glad to hear it. And Lorraine, if Sharon had Dragon's Den and all of the intensity and excitement that went with that, you went through the New Frontiers programme, and I wonder, would you recommend something like that in terms of elevating the business, upskilling yourself, and maybe what did you get from it? You actually won it, so congratulations to say to you on that. But yeah, is that something you would recommend to others out there looking at programmes and initiatives like it?
Yeah, for sure. I think that for me personally, I came, so there's two phases. And so phase one, it's competitive to get onto phase one, and then it's competitive to get onto phase two, and it's a funnel system. So the numbers get smaller as you go along. And I remember when I started phase one, I actually wasn't going to apply, but Jimmy here was, you know, kind of urging me to apply because I didn't think that I would be able to do it. So I did apply, and I remember on the first day, it was like a Zoom scenario with whatever, like 16 little probably 24 little boxes. And I was down in a little corner almost hiding away because I had complete imposter syndrome, thinking that everybody else here is a business person and I'm not. I'm just somebody who had a good idea and was lucky and all the rest of it. So going from even phase one into phase two was a massive confidence boost. And as the weeks went on, you know, we all kind of grew in confidence. The program itself is broken into all the different sections of business. So it doesn't matter what stage of business you're at, you can always learn more. So they obviously cover business plan, marketing, etc., like every single little part. And then you have various mentors as well, and advisors. And I actually was able to add to my own advisory board based on the support that I received from New Frontiers. There's one of the really key things about New Frontiers for me was the networking that we did, both as like all the participants together. We all became great friends, even though some of us have never even met face to face yet. But also the teachers on the course, we became, you know, you build up your network with those people as well. So definitely, I would say I went from honestly just being like not thinking that I should even be there at the very beginning to at the end being able to stand up Dragon Den style pitch. And, you know, you're convincing people that I am the best business there is, you know what I mean, in order to win it. So I would highly recommend something like that. It changes how you view things. And one of the really important things actually was for me was that I was scared of finance, and I was scared of asking certain questions in case I would look stupid. Because before in the past I had been involved in a partnership, and I always view the other person as being like the business mind, you know, so I left all those decisions up to her because I didn't really feel confident in making those decisions. But on New Frontiers, it was like there was no such thing as a stupid question. And I think that's a really important part as well, especially for women, because women are not as confident, generally speaking, when it comes to finances as men are. And research has shown that less women apply to banks for loans. When we apply for loans, we're less likely to get our loans. When we're refused a loan, we're less likely to appeal our loan, and overall we're less likely to get a loan. So, you know, the research shows it, and I think women feel it as well. And even in certain households, sometimes men will be in charge of the finances. And I often see in my own work, when there's maybe a separation or a divorce, a woman can just feel like they don't even know what's going on anymore because they were so out of the loop when it came to the finances for so long. They don't know, you know, what it means to split a mortgage, etc. Yeah. So, that's a really important thing as well, is if you're starting out, especially, no matter what stage you are along the line, you know, if you have somebody who you feel comfortable and confident in asking stupid questions too. I think it makes all the difference, because there's only so many stupid questions you can ask, and then and so like now it's completely different.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about there, Lorraine, is so important. We all probably can empathise with that sense of the imposter syndrome and that idea of constantly having to wrestle with our inner critic, but make sure really it's the voice of inner reason that we're actually listening to. And sometimes you just have to do programs like that, be pushed outside the comfort zone and ask yourself, well, what is the worst that can happen here? I can ask a lot of stupid questions, but then if I ask all of them, I will have knowledge, and knowledge is power, and I can go about my business. So kudos to you on all of that. Susie, to bring you back in, one of the big themes today, we want to make sure that we're setting up women to really think about 2022 in terms of growth and scale and really being ambitious for their businesses. You've gone from, I think, smaller offices to now a huge warehouse that many of us had the pleasure of seeing yesterday. And you're now really readying yourself for global. How do you go about doing that, where you continue to have radical focus and real discipline about your customer and engagement and building that trust and loyalty, and yet trying to make sure that you're starting to place smart bets, taking risks, and realise the bigger opportunities?
Well, I think it's really important to have a really strong team working with you, because it's not possible, obviously, to do it all by ourselves. And I am really, really fortunate that the girls I have working here with me are, they take absolute ownership of each of the areas they work in. So it allows us to kind of push on and keep going. But I would love to say that there was some grand plan that I had for global domination and things like that, but really it isn't. I kind of, like everybody else, have that imposter syndrome, and each day I get up, I have to push myself a little bit more off the ledge. So some of the risks that we're taking at the moment and some of the things we're going after, even as I kind of think of them in my head, I'm like, oh my God, like, what are we doing here? But I just have this thing in me now that I have to keep pushing. And like that, it's hearing feedback from our customers as well. And, hearing that they do really like the product and they like what we're about. And that helps me to drive forward. And we've been really, really lucky with online that it has opened us up to a more global market. We have fulfillment centres in Australia and the UK, and we are working with one in the US as well at the moment. So it's given us little nuggets of confidence to kind of step into those areas a little bit more. But like that. I mean, COVID definitely accelerated everything for us as well, because we were online, and it did kind of just launch us into somewhere that we had to either sink or swim. And I've chosen to try and swim. So we'll hope for the best and see, where we go from here.
Good for you. Sharon, I imagine this is something you're having to think about. You talked about the importance of community, and you decided to build the products first and then the community around it, as opposed to try and build the community first and then the products. And I wonder, is that something you're wrestling with, where you've got this really special, and I bought some of your products where you get these lovely handwritten notes in and these inspiring messages of how you continue to hone that real direct relationship with your customers and keep that and that community, and yet go for global. How are you thinking about trying to kind of get that balance?
I think really, for me, like, community was everything. I genuinely needed support, and your community are your tribe. They're the women, the voice that you speak, they connect to it. And I think that we've all definitely touched on that inner critic and that, imposter syndrome. And that's a really big part of what Peachy Lean is, and in and around the word support. Finding them women who are ambitious, who are driven, who at some stage of their life want more, and that's what really Peachy Lean is about. We want people just to move forward in connecting with their dreams and goals. And it all starts with up here. Like, every one of us on this panel have struggled with that, and we all have to push through every day. And keeping that tone of voice, really, the supportive voice around, I said it on the show, it's not just spandex and nylon, it's a community of women who just want more. We want more support, and we need more support, and we need that community to really egg each other on and lift each other up. And it's really women supporting women. But I think that messaging has translated across, the water and across Europe and into the US. And yeah, we need more of it. We need more of these amazing networks championing women to, achieve more. And again, what Susie said, like, a great team, a phenomenal team who really, really get the vision, align with the messaging and the tone of what you're all about. And great support networks like the local enterprise office, given this phenomenal day for women, and Enterprise Ireland, and all of the Going for Growth and New Frontiers programs as well. It's really just, you know, speaking your language with authenticity, like Lorraine said earlier on. Authenticity, passion, drive. And if you're authentic in what you're doing and you're really fully passionate about it, people will join in and they want to be on the road and on the journey with you.
Yeah. And do keep your questions and comments coming via that sessions button into the Q&A desk. Type in your questions and comments. We have one person who said to us, and it's more a comment, but just to say the comment about being responsible for someone else's livelihood resonates loudly and alarmingly. This is what you were talking about, Aimee, earlier. I've realised, or Susie rather, I've realised that I can contact some of the work for the time being, so it's not all on my head and I don't have all of the worries of employer responsibility, which would be a bit overwhelming at the moment. I think perhaps that's an observation that we may not always say out loud, but we're all thinking it at some point. Yeah, it's often those little conversations that we have with ourselves, but I think the importance there of knowing when to contract and knowing when to pull people in. We have a question then from Helen Fogarty, and Kay, I'll bring you in on this one. Kay spoke about a conversion rate in the context of social media. Could you explain more on that, please? Kay, that's for you.
Well, I'll certainly do my best, but I think Caroline probably would be best placed to answer that. So it's basically the rate of people that come through to your website and purchase from, you know, whatever engagements they have on your social media or following. So what you want is people that will ultimately follow through to the website and make a purchase. So that rate of conversion is really important to keep an eye on.
And I think I'll just to add, Kay, just to that, like I think for everybody that is focused on online, I think, you know, understanding and, you know, your metrics, understanding how to get the data out of the systems, and actually, you know, if you're investing your hard-earned cash and, you know, into advertising or into these channels, do make sure that you understand exactly what return on investment you're getting, because sometimes it's a lot more profitable for you to increase your conversion rate or increase your engagement than it would be to continue to invest more money in. So, you know, understanding those metrics is a really, really important element of any of your online business.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I think it's really important to know the rate of return that you get on every euro you spend on advertising. It's just so important, because you can continue to throw money into like increasing by 10 euros, increasing by 10 euros. It's a little bit dangerous actually, you know, and maybe even set spending limits so that you can control what's going on in the background. And again, I think there's really good mentoring and really good courses available with you so that you can understand these things, because it's like another language really.
I think it goes back to setting even our general business goals for everybody, like setting, you know, understanding what your business goals are, setting targets for your growth, for your online channels, for your direct, whatever it might be, but making sure that you know what you're looking to achieve and being able to measure yourself against that on an ongoing basis, and have enough knowledge of online to be able to ask questions or challenge if somebody else is doing that for you.
And Caroline, to stay with you for a moment, you have had phenomenal growth. You've gone from, I think, 2 of you and 2 clients to something like a turnover increasing by 400% in a short enough period of time. And that's something I wish for all female entrepreneurs and founders out there today, that 2022 is going to be this growth story for so many of you. But when you're in that transition moment, like what have been some of the things, and I like, you know, Scott Belsky calls it the messy middle, where you kind of the clouds are starting to part and the fog, and you can start to see, actually, we're going to be okay, which is a lovely feeling. But when you're in that fog of war and that messy middle, Caroline, but you know the growth is coming, what are some of the key things that you would say to women that they need to be thinking about?
I think, look, I suppose, yeah, it's been a roller coaster, and change, including growth and positive growth, can be very disruptive. It can be disruptive to your focus. It can, you know, if you don't manage that properly, it can easily derail what you're actually looking to achieve. So I think, you know, everybody spoke here about how important, like we're all one person, but behind us is a team of amazing people that actually make everything happen every single day. So the support of the team is really, really important. Having the right people in the right roles is hugely important, that they're doing the right thing. And I think, Susie, it was you that said that you know that the girls that you have working can do it, can take it. You don't have to worry about it. So I think that's really important, particularly when you're going through, this kind of tsunami, as Sharon said, or a surge of growth. And being able to take yourself up out of the micro detail, which is really, really difficult, because you've been so close to every single detail, every single small thing that has happened in the business. And now you need to say to yourself, well, actually, I need to work on the business. I need to trust and empower the team to be able to do what I know they can do and what they're doing every single day. And I need to look at the direction the business is going in, how we continue to develop in the growth, how we continue to develop our services. So I think that's, trying to stay on focus. It's so easy for your head to get turned, particularly in that growth stage, because then you're saying, okay, well, great, if we can do this now, we can go in this direction. But, sometimes that can kind of throw you off. So again, I have a business partner. I have such a huge amount of admiration for any solo entrepreneur. And myself and Susie were talking about this before we came on, actually, and we were saying that you know what you know. So I started out with a business partner, no different, and that level of support. So whether it's from a business partner or whether it's from your colleagues, external mentors, whatever it is, you need that sounding board, and you need to be able to have really open, communicative, vulnerable discussions with people to be able to make sure that you're on the right path and that you're able to make a quick decision and pivot should you need to. I think I think being open is and communication is really, really important.
And I know, Lorraine, this is a theme you think a lot about. I think you're going to do a second company, if I remember correctly. So you're having to think about radical focus, you're talking to customers, but it's just the importance of self-care, self-compassion, and that not to lose sight of us when we are talking about growth and scale and building our teams.
Yeah, especially when, you're at the top, or you're in leadership or in management. You are the driving force, you're the captain of the ship. And I think that in my business, I have seen when I've been, had down moments, we've had down moments. So I think, and, everybody looks to you. So you're the person who's steering the ship. And I think for women as well, sometimes we are that person in the family as well. We often talk about mothers being the glue of the family. And when we're sick, oh God, it all just falls apart when mommy's sick. So definitely, and I think that, one key thing, I suppose, is that we, as women, we can feel so guilty about taking time for ourselves. And I was reading something, I think the algorithms are showing me all these things on social media, but it was saying that when you go to the shop on your own, that's not a break. When, daddy takes the kids out and you can clean the house for an hour, that's not a break. But in our head, we're able to enjoy it somewhat because we don't have this added kind of other, you know what I mean? We don't have 65 things going on at the same time. We only have to do one thing, but that's actually not a break. That's just normal. So I think that, for women, I think we have to schedule it in and we have to get over this idea of feeling guilty about it. I know a woman who is a CEO of a big organization, and I was at an event years ago that she was speaking at, and she said that every Friday evening, so she works 9 to 5, except on Friday she finishes at 4:00, but her family don't know that, and nobody knows that except the people that she works with. So she'd clock out at 4:00 and work weren't ringing her because she was finished work. And then she would go to like a cafe in Dublin, sit down, drink her coffee, have a slice of cake, read her book, people watch, whatever it was. And her family also weren't ringing her because they thought that she was at work. So from 4 to 5 every week, she had carved out that time for herself. And she had done it for years, and maybe it was a little white lie. Maybe nobody needs to know about it. Maybe it's okay. But she said that that was like a saving thing, a saving grace for her. And if sometimes for mothers, that means, I know somebody else who like maybe once a month or once every 2 months, she goes away to a hotel for her, by herself for the night. Sometimes she meets with friends. Sometimes she just goes there, and enjoys just the quietness. But we need to get over this idea that we're doing something wrong or we shouldn't be doing it, because actually, if you analyze it and if you really, I suppose, journal on it, before you do that, you're frazzled. You did it because you needed it. So you definitely, you were in that space where you were on the edge. And then afterwards, you do miss your kids. And you are, for me, I'm always dying to get back to work when I've had a break, and sometimes even when I'm in that state of, even driving somewhere for a couple of hours and the music is on, there's nothing else happening. I have lots of really good ideas. So if you could actually just change how you view it, to you're actually benefiting your family, or you're benefiting your business by, you know, forcing yourself to take this time out. Yeah. Without it, we will crash and burn. We have burnout, which is absolutely massive, was massive before the pandemic, massive during the pandemic, and it's still massive. But before burnout, we have brownout. And I think that's a really important phenomenon that, you know, it needs more awareness. And that's one of the reasons why we set up the second company called Business Psychology Academy, which we're launching next week. And it's for businesses and entrepreneurs, in order for them to be able to recognize, you know, how they themselves are heading towards burnout. You don't want to get to burnout, because once you get there, your physical health can be impacted. And then when your physical health is impacted, sometimes there's no coming back from that. So in brownout, we're experiencing high levels of stress. Maybe we can't sleep, our appetite is impacted, etc. And that's our body's way of, you know, waving these red flags to be like, hello, but we're just suppressing it down, going, no, I need to have this deadline, I have to do this thing. But we need to be listening to those red flags. And if we do that, everybody, in ourselves, our family, our business, everybody's going to thrive as a result.
Very wise advice. We only have a few minutes left, and I'd like each of you to have 30 seconds each just to give one quick piece of advice. Maybe it's a piece of advice you got, or it's a mantra. And I know some of you have brilliant mantras up on your office walls. Just something you would like to leave people with. Take 30 seconds each. And Susie, I might come to you for this final takeaway, final call to action.
Well, I would just say, if you are thinking of starting something or doing something, just start. There will be bumps in the road. My sister gave me the best bit of advice I ever got, which when we started the business, and our very first delivery that came in it went disastrously wrong, and I thought the world was ending. And she said to me, you know, now that you're in business, there's going to be bumps every single day, and you just have to learn how to ride them and move on. And, you know, it's still something today that when things are getting thrown at me, I just go back to that and I think, okay, I'll just ride this one and get by again. And just to know that there will be hard days, but there will be great days, and it'll always be worth it. So if you have something in mind, do like that. You've nothing to lose. Go and just try it.
Great. Thank you for that, Susie O'Neill. And Sharon Keegan.
Oh, guys, I just really want, like, obviously this phenomenal entrepreneurial women here, founders. And like, I suppose to the women here today that are listening in, you know, all of this seems like so advanced and so, you know, business and like conversion rate and return on investment. And oh my God, how do I start? Just start. Literally just get the idea from your head and put one foot in front of the other, because unless it comes from there and into action, you'll never, ever achieve any of this. And I really, really want to support all them women who are starting out, because you can be in this position in a year or 2 years' time. And my just bit of advice, and it does come from me and I read it somewhere, but it's probably in my own words as well, okay? And it's coming from a dark and deep place, but it really, really resonates with me. And it's that time is the most valuable asset that you own. You can spend it, but you can never buy it back. And how you choose to spend it makes you the richest person alive. Thank you.
Wise words. And Caroline Dunlea.
Yeah, look, I think the whole don't be afraid. I think, look, and believe in yourself. Everybody has the same fears, so you're not alone. And I think making sure that you know that you have that support network, reach out, talk, find out what's there, get as much information as you can. You know, I think the more you talk through what you're going to do with somebody else that's probably been there before, the more it will encourage you, the more it will support, it'll support you. So I would say, like, one of the things that somebody said to me very early on is it's always a yes until it's a no, which basically translates to believe in yourself. You can do it. Say yes, you will figure it out. You don't have to have all the answers straight away. None of us do. We still don't. We're still learning. Yeah. We're coming across new challenges every single day. We're learning new things every single day. So yeah, believe in yourself. Go for it. Think big. Don't hold yourself back.
Super. And Kayling?
I suppose my business came from a passion. So I always go back to that, when you're stuck on boring plumbing that we were talking about earlier, everything comes from the passion that you have for your business. So just always remember that and just try and find a space in the market for that. And once you can kind of map out a market and see where your product or service or company might fit, then that gives you a lot of reassurance that there is a space for you and that you have this passion for this company, so you can make it happen. And like the other lady said as well, just make a start at it. You might do it all perfectly, but that's fine. None of us did. And, you know, this, like Sharon said, this looks very advanced, all of us speaking here, but I'm sure we've all been, you know, at the other end of the webinar, logged in and looking at, you know, amazing women talking about their journeys and wondering how would we ever get to that point. So I would say just, you know, go from passion. And
Lorraine Lynch, very quickly.
Oh, I have like 10 things. Okay.
One.
Okay, the one thing that I would say is that if somebody said to me at the very beginning, you know, go away and make $1 million, you think in your head, I have to do these huge, big actions. You know, $1 million takes big action, it takes big power to do that. But it doesn't. It takes lots of really, you know, small little steps on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So always be thinking to myself, what's the next best step for me to take? It sometimes can look glamorous from the outside when you're wearing a suit and you're at networking events or you're at award ceremonies. But I think 99% of the time I was wearing leggings while I was working away here, you know, doing the thing. So that's number one. And the second thing I would say as well is to do a daily audit of your time as well. You are the result of the small actions that you take every single day. So things like meditation, journaling, even like going for a walk for 15 minutes in the morning, and affirmations, they will set you up in the morning. So, you know, nothing is too big for anybody to achieve. We all just did small things for a lot of days over time, and it does snowball until you look back one day and you're like, geez, that was what a journey.
It requires impatience over a long period of time. I, for one, am energized. I'm inspired. Thank you so much to Susie O'Neill, Lorraine Lynch, Sharon Keegan, Caroline Dunley and Kay Ling. If you've been inspired like I have been by each of our leading lights and want help ascending to similar heights, a reminder, there are feasibility grants, business advice clinics, start your own business courses, ideation and customer validation workshops, innovation vouchers, mentoring opportunities, and so much more over on the localenterprise.ie/NWED website. Thank you so much to our leading lights. Now, up next, to continue a theme there that Lorraine was talking about, we are going to talk about our level of success in business and how that is directly impacted by the way you, as an entrepreneur, grow and develop. Joining us now is Denise O'Grady, serial entrepreneur and business manager who's successfully built 3 companies over 25 years in enterprise. She's dedicated to overcoming barriers in business and influencing change, and firmly believes in staying true to the company's vision, developing the best product available to the market. Denise is going to take 15 minutes now to talk about the 4 pillars of good health. That's mindfulness, physical fitness, diet and nutrition, sleep and relaxation. And we'll then have 13 minutes for questions afterwards. So please go to that sessions button on your screen, click on the Q&A desk and type in your questions. Denise, over to you. Take it away.
Thanks, Anya. Thanks so much. I'm delighted to be here today to talk about a subject that's very important to me, which is building the person behind the business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk for the next 15 minutes, and the first thing we're going to address is the why. Why is it important to mind the person behind the business? Why? What is it about the environment that we require a little bit of extra attention for our health and well-being? I'm going to talk about the 4 pillars of, as we said, the 4 pillars of wellness, mindfulness, physical fitness, diet and nutrition, and also sleep and relaxation. Then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about maintaining your good health, a maintenance program that you can implement. And then I'm going to give you just a tiny little hack at the end so that you can bring it with you to try and to keep your wellness with you as you go along. Okay, so the very first thing is to know why. And it's so much easier to commit to something when you understand that there's a good reason for it. So what I'd like to say is being an entrepreneur, being a female founder, being a founder is working in a very emotionally charged environment. So what I mean by that is it's Amazing. It's wonderful. There are so many wonderful days. There's great days, there's highs, there's the days, the yes days, when you come home and you've really smashed it. But for those days, there's also the days that people don't talk about. Those are the down days, the no days, and the days when you get no after no. And there are, that can be quite tolling on your emotions. And then there's also the anxious days, just those days when you think, oh my God, what if it all blows up? What if I can't fix it? What if I don't have money to fix it? What if I can't pay the wages? What if it all falls to me? So those anxieties all play a toll on your body. So what I say is, I do know this. I know it myself. I know you're thinking, like, why? Why would she know? Because I had my own startup. I had a fintech company and we exited successfully, thank God, in 2018. Still thanking the days. But also I mentor for Enterprise Ireland and I meet an awful lot of founders through that. My company run 2 business accelerator programs for the local enterprise office in Dunleary and in Kildare. So I meet people all the time. I meet founders all the time and I empathize with them and I know what it is. And sometimes I say, it's like going to work on a roller coaster. It's like going to work and hopping on a roller coaster. And it's funny, one of the leading lights did mention that. Lots of times in our business, it's like a roller coaster. And what I do in my mentoring and in my courses is I literally draw an up and down, and then I draw a little line in the middle. And I say, you know, this is where your emotions are going. This is where your adrenaline is going. So it's really important that you can just balance it out. So those are the reasons why it's important. You live in an emotionally charged world where there is adrenaline flying. You're at a high adrenaline, high cortisone for a lot of your day. So it's really important if you're going to work in that fantastic environment, and I hugely encourage it, it's important that you mind yourself and you take actions to balance that adrenaline and to introduce a little bit of calm. Okay, great. So that's why, so I think you'll agree, it is, and from speaking to everybody this morning, there is good reason. There is good reason to mind yourself. And we all invest so much money in the business, and then we need to take a little bit of time to invest into ourselves and our own well-being. So here are the 4 very simple ways that you can address this. The first is mindfulness. The second, as I said, is health and fitness. The third is diet and nutrition. And the 4th is sleep and relaxation. So the very first one we're going to go to is mindfulness. Now, I love the practice of mindfulness, and I have to commend Owen Laverty, who's the head of enterprise out in Dunleary Rathdown, Leo. We were working together, and Owen has done a huge amount of work on introducing mindfulness into the programs and into the work there. And we were co-hosting one of our Business Accelerator courses, and it was on a Monday night at 6 to 9 p.m. in person. So what we were expecting people to do was to come from a long day at work on a Monday, which is a challenging day anyway, and listen to the riveting information that we were giving them. So no matter how riveting it was still a tall order. So what we did was we used the practice of mindfulness to help people let go of the day and just come present into the room. So it's a breathing technique, generally, a breathing technique that helps you become present. So, you know, if the exhale is really important. So say you're running for the bus and you run, and then you catch the bus and you go, oh. So it's this idea that you're letting go of the tension in your body and you're letting go and you're just becoming present. But there's other ways of doing it. You can do it now, just simply take your index finger and your thumb and just feel the rivets at the top of your fingers. And this is just that little action of focus of that can literally bring you present into the room. So there's a positive intelligence movement, and I've done a course on this recently, and it is an app that you follow when you finish the course or during the course, and it is basically just asking you to take between 30 seconds and 2 minutes every hour or every second hour, every 2 hours, just take 30 seconds just to become present, just to focus, just to let go and become present. And there's various techniques, including breathing and focus, to do that. And what it does in business is it helps you release the anxiety and to make more clarity, to bring clarity to your decisions. Okay, so that's the first pillar, and that's the mindfulness one. Now, the second one we're going to talk about is health and fitness. And everybody knows that health and fitness is good for you. And I often say, you know, when has anyone said, oh, God, I just can't believe I went for that walk, it was awful, or I feel terrible after going to the gym, or I wish I hadn't cycled, or, you know, no one ever says that. And the reason why they never say that is because physical fitness is a treat for your body. It's just a treat. You release endomorphs, we call them happy morphs, but it makes you feel happy. It releases all the pressure that's building up in your body. Now, how to incorporate is another thing. I do remember when lockdown came and I was so disappointed because I live in Rathmines and I was commuting to Dún Laoghaire and I absolutely loved my commute in the morning. So I used to get up and I'd cycle through the park and I'd be down by the seafront and the trees were falling and it was brisk and it was beautiful and it was green and it was just energizing, and then I had all this beautiful scenery and it really set me up for the day, and I went to work feeling happy and having released all that tension, and then at the end of the day I used to do it in reverse and I'd be ready to go home. So if you can at all, you know, I'm not trying to get people to make huge changes because it's just too difficult to do that. We're all so busy, even that hour at the end of the day. But if you can at all, do try and put a commute in. Walk, cycle, whatever you can do just to get a little bit of air at the beginning of the day, if you can at all. And if you can't, make it your religion. Make a commitment to somebody. I go, you know, get a puppy or commit to a girlfriend or commit to an app. It actually works. Commit to your step counter. But if you can make a commitment to somebody, brisk walking, 40 minutes, 3 times a week. That's all you're trying to do and you will feel so much better for it. Okay, so that's physical fitness, and it's all about just a tiny change if you can try and incorporate it into your world. The next thing I want to talk about is diet and nutrition. So for diet and nutrition, if you could just try again, it takes just that tiny bit more prep and that tiny bit more energy, but if you can try and cook from the ingredients up, because although, you know, very simple food, very, very simple food, but chopping and cooking from bringing that ingredients up, you will preserve the nutrients in the food. So processed food does actually lose a lot of its nutrients. So if you can just make an effort to say cook 3 times a week or 4 times a week from ingredients up and just give yourself a little bit of time to prep, that's really what it's about. And then the other thing for diet and nutrition is do get yourself, I take an awful lot of supplements, so do get yourself a supplement protocol. And again, we're not trying to do anything huge. The best advice I can give you for getting your supplements right is walk into your local health food shop and say to them, I'm running my own business. Tell them about yourself. I have, you know, kids, or I have this life. I do this at the weekend. This is I can't sleep, or I can sleep, and I relax and I find this hard. And ask them. They're always qualified, or they're nearly always qualified, and they will give you a really good supplement routine. Okay. So that's diet and nutrition. So we're coming to the last one, and that's sleep and relaxation. Now, what I'd say about sleep is there is no denying that this is hugely important for your health, but there's no denying that there's a huge market for it. So we were doing some research for one of my startups, and we looked into the Calm app. And the Calm app is one of the fastest and most downloaded apps in the planet. I was laughing because half my family have it, but they got 88 million in investment into the Calm app, so you can just imagine. Also, you know, everybody's heard of Yoga with Adriene, millions of followers. So these are indications that there is a need for people to unwind and to sleep, to try and unwind. So what I'd say is in the evening, from 9 o'clock on, I know it's again, just that little thing. Some of us, I know we have to work late, but in the majority, if you can, at 9 o'clock, turn off the screens, turn down the bright lights, try and listen to Audible or read a book or listen to an inspiring podcast. They say don't listen to the news late at night because it's full of doom and gloom. So if you can, tune out of all that negative stuff and try and inspire yourself by listening to some really nice, inspiring speakers or a nice, relaxing book. So sleep is important. And also there are supplements that you can get that are all very safe and very useful, just again to balance and take your cortisone levels down for the day so that you can rest and recover in the night and face into the next day. Now, so that's our 4 pillars of health, and they're just tiny, weeny tweaks. You can see mindfulness 10 minutes a day, but just little tweaks if you can make those. I want to talk about maintenance. So I love holistic health, and the reason I do is because traditional medicine treats symptoms. So when you're sick, you go to a doctor and everyone knows that and they'll treat the symptoms. But holistic health treats the whole body and it's a preventative measure. The idea of holistic health is that you get to keep your optimum health. So it's a maintenance program and it treats your whole body before you get ill. So the ones that I dip into are acupuncture, reflexology, osteopathy, and I get some deep tissue massage as well. And those ones really work for me. But what I'd say is just find something that works for you. And also find a therapist that you like, find a practice you like, go for recommendations. Do not stay with somebody if you don't like them. I can't wait to go to my osteopathy. So I can't wait. So just find somebody that you really connect with and that you really enjoy going to. And then, as you said, tell people you're at work, tell family you're at home, and just take that hour once a month or once every 2 weeks and just release all that. It gets rid of all those blocks and tension again. So it's really, really good for you. So try and engage in a holistic health maintenance program. The ones that I do, as I said, the acupuncture, the reflexology, but there's others. There's everything from Orasoma to Reiki. So just find one that you like. Now, the last little health hack that I'm going to do, and it doesn't sound like a health hack, but for me, it was enormous. And this was meet your tribe. So what I'd say is try and I did a business accelerator program, and I remember all my friends were working for someone else, and I just felt a little bit I didn't have a support network. And I did a business accelerator program called Launchpad, run by the NGRC, and I walked in and it was like exhaling. I just felt like I had arrived because I met my people, and it was like-minded people. So I surrounded myself with like-minded people, and there was a team of mentors that were incredibly smart. And I just felt like I was surrounded by a support bubble that I had never really had before. And it felt fantastic. So on National Women's Enterprise Day, I'm delighted to say, look, there are tons of supports, and Aine has listed them already, but, go to your local enterprise website or go down to the office and see what is there, what's available for you. There's New Frontiers 1, 2 and 3, Start Your Own Business, multiple business accelerator courses. There's the Catapult out in Dunleary, or the Go Global or Tech Hatch in Kildare. There is mentor networks. Find a network, find your people. And like the good man in Nike said, just today's the day, just do it. Go and look up that website and find people and apply for something. You will not regret it.
Thank you so much for that, Denise. I feel that mantra of just do it is going to become a common theme today. And I imagine your 4 pillars there is really going to resonate in all of that. And one of the things we heard from our leading lights earlier is that often we can find ourselves drowning in the day-to-day, you know, and we feel like we're still at the start line. And we have to remind ourselves of what it is we're trying to do. You know, Jeff Bezos talks about the need to be stubborn about your sense of mission and outcomes and purpose, but flexible about how you get there. And one of the things I think you recommend is that we need to constantly visualize where it is that we're trying to get to.
Yeah, that's right, Anya. Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the techniques that I use in mentoring is, and it's really actually quite powerful, because people say, you know, you just get stuck in the weeds. You get stuck down in trying in the doing. And that's why those mindfulness and lifting yourself above your business is really important. But one of the techniques I use when I start mentoring and start working with people is I ask them to close their eyes and visualize, you know, why are they doing it? What does it look like? Because we all want to be the next Startup 4 and the next, you know, global this. And you say it so often, you forget what it actually looks like and feels like. So I ask people just to kind of close their eyes and visualize, what does it look like, your picture of success? And then a really key one, and this one I find really amusing, because from my own self-experience, is where are you in it? Where are you in that picture? Are you there? Are you front and center? Are you really clear? And for me, I wasn't actually. And I wanted really, in reality, although I was saying we were going to be this and we were going to be that, that vision didn't include me. I wanted to stay with my client and I wanted to stay with the product. So we got a fantastic CEO who led us to our exit, and he was absolutely brilliant. It was perfect for us. But it happens in your mind first. And that's really powerful. So visualize. And then what we do is, I often say, you know, just visualize it in your mind and get a really small snapshot of what it looks like and where you are in the picture. And then bring that with you. And bring that with you and refresh it every day. Just try and remember why. Why did you start this in the first place? Yeah. Where are you going? And then absolutely be flexible and be tenacious. Those, you know.
I love that. Yeah, you almost have to picture or paint a picture in your mind first. But I love that idea of constantly reconnecting with them. Why me? Why this? Why now? As you do all of that. Reminder to everybody at home: do keep your questions coming. You can head over to that session section. Click into the Q&A desk and type in questions, comments, feedback there. We're going to keep an eye on them. Hopefully you've lots of great questions for Denise. In all of that, sometimes we do have to think about how we pivot, how we diversify, how we change.
Yeah.
And you would contend it's about doing sometimes just small things, small, tangible, day by day, task by task, break it down so it doesn't feel too overwhelming.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, the Leading Light spoke about this. And I've been to so many inspiring speakers, and they say, you know, just get up and do the little thing. Because sometimes it honestly is very overwhelming. And, you know, as I was saying at the beginning, you have all this pressure that you, not only, you know, the real pressure, but the other pressure that you put in yourself, the what if pressure. So it's really important just to stay grounded and just do the little tasks every day and take one step closer. And if you have that vision and you have it clearly focused, you know, you will get there. You just don't know the path yet. And as the girl said, we're all learning. We're still learning. You know.
And in all of that, like Lorraine there at the end of our Leading Light session talked about that idea of brownout and burnout. Now, obviously, everything you're talking about today is to try and be preventative.
Yes.
But for anyone who is sitting at home today going, God, I think I'm that person that Lorraine's talking about, like, you know, where you have that repeated sense of exhaustion. Like, what do you say to someone today who just feels exhausted and that they're burning out?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's plenty of them, because as I said, it is challenging. So the first thing I'd say is take a day off, relax, get yourself back. If it's 2 days, you know, but don't let it go on. Don't let it go on too much, you know. Give yourself a treat, give yourself a break, but know that you're going to come back to it. And then the day you come back, just get out of bed and get into work, just take those small steps. So, and then do try and incorporate the mindfulness. Literally 30 seconds every 2 hours. We all have that.
Yeah.
We all have that. And just use those techniques. When things get overwhelming, just try and bring yourself back to the present moment, here and now. Because you can do it. We can all do it. We really can. And people who have made those choices, it's because they feel passionate about it and they know they can do it. But then our inner critic comes along and says, no, you can't.
Yeah.
So you need to silence that critic by just becoming present and small steps. And don't scare yourself. Just keep a focus on where you're going, just keep that visualization there, and then just take the little steps and be flexible.
And listening to you, what I'm struck by is that requires us to practice ruthless prioritization. Like when the word priority came about, originally it was a singular, it was priority. We, over time, have made it a plural in terms of priorities. So in all of that, like anything you can say to people so that they feel, you're saying there, you can find the time is there, but we sometimes fail to prioritize it.
I know.
And how do you do that where you're going, I have one priority today and the rest are going to kind of come in sequence after that?
So, you're going to hate me
This is a personal question.
You have to prioritize yourself. You have to prioritize yourself. Your business is not, believe it or not, your business is nothing without you. And you we all take on all of these huge pressures, but actually you just have to prioritize. So that's what I was saying. Just take little steps and just incorporate them, but make them your religion. Make them your religion. And I loved that, the Friday night, just take the half an hour out and take this and just write it into your program. I mean, we raised so much money in our business, and yet I felt compelled to be there, to be successful all the time, and that everybody was relying on me, and the pressure was huge. But actually, people were relying on me to be well, to be sensible, to present well, to talk well, to present the product well, and all of that. You need to be in a really good frame of mind for that. So you just have to prioritize yourself.
Yeah, because we're all in danger sometimes, particularly when you run your own business, of becoming martyrs. And I can find even your language becomes, I have to, I must. If not me, then who? So you're constantly kind of just taking on more and more, as opposed to kind of delegating it back out and going, no, I have to prioritize me here. And we've all had 18 months, in some cases, working from home. But there's going to be many listening in today who are thinking about now returning to the office, which is opening up these, and particularly for the introverts, and I put my hand up here as an introvert, I know as much as I love people, but the social connections will often drain me of energy. So what do you say to people who are now going back potentially into workplaces and having to think again about networking and building those social connections and faking at being an extrovert?
Okay. I feel like I'm talking to you directly, Anya. So we're all faking being extroverts. Just like I'll tell you that now, because inside each of us is this little voice that's saying, no, you're not good enough. So, but I didn't like the word, networking and getting out there and being front to center. But actually, the thing is that we missed it. We really missed it. It's part of our social makeup. And those chats at the coffee machine that you're talking about, those are really positive experiences. That's the fabric of life. And we all need social connection, no matter how much we challenge ourselves. It's actually really important. And I did have it in one of my health hacks to physically get out of your house and go and try and go to one of the communal working spaces. My first office was a desk in the digital hub. I paid €80 a month, but it was a brilliant address, and it was a support. It was a place of support, and it's a different environment. So So challenge yourself, but don't frighten yourself. You know, everybody, we're all in this together.
Yeah, and and ask for the help and have people have your backs. We've got questions, Denise, from the audience. The first one is from Jadra, who says, I've gone from working in a multinational to setting up my own business in a home office, and I'm struggling with motivation. Any suggestions to reboot? It's a good one.
Yes, yeah. And you know what, Aine, there's so many people. I was saying we started a business accelerator program the other day, and the landscape is different, you know, and there's a lot of people who's working you know, who have lost their jobs or have given up their jobs. So this one goes out to a lot of people. It is hard to motivate yourself, so make it your religion. One of the girls was saying, leave the house for 15 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
Write in your first step. So, you know, when I was coming here today, I was thinking, oh my God, I can't do this. And then I thought, you know, if I just get started, that's all you have to do. Just get started. Take your first step. And then if you feel your motivation waning, leave the house again. Walk away, leave the house. But the one that I'd find really important for this is to find a support. As I said, the Nike, just do it. Go onto your local enterprise site, find a mentor, a network, an accelerator, a start your own business, New Frontiers. Find a course that suits you.
Yeah.
Write up your business proposal. They don't take long, and put yourself out there. You will not be unhappy. Find your tribe.
Yeah, that's such great advice. Another question from Denise. Do you have any tips for future visualizations and how to do them effectively? Now, that's something we started with, but is there anything else that you'd recommend there? But sometimes having to get yourself out of those trenches, up onto that higher balcony, taking time for that holistic view and visualizing that picture in your head again.
Yeah. So the mindfulness is a form of meditation. And meditation, you can just simply take 5 minutes and just sit quietly and say, you know, try and visualize, what is it that I need? What's my next step? You know, and just see. So we also, the one that I love is, and I robbed this actually from a band in the UK, and they were starting off, and instead of they put up a wall of praise. So what they did was every single compliment and fan thing, they just stuck it on the wall, and they found it very motivating. And actually, I did that, and I found it very motivating, because you can, again, you know, you
start to internalize it.
Yeah, you start to internalize stuff. So surround yourself with positivity. But that visualization, it's very powerful. And just visualize the outcome as being successful for you, what that means for you. And then once you have that, relax, and just let it happen.
Yeah, I love that. And we saw with Susie earlier, I've seen her office, and she's the mantra up there. And we've seen Kelly Harrington in the Olympics, you know, that the last mile is never crowded. The one I love to come back to sometimes is, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And I've that up on a wall that you're constantly kind of posing that hard question to yourself. So lots of great tips, tricks, practical advice there from Denise. Thank you so much to Denise O'Grady for joining us. You can check out some of Denise's work with the Business Accelerator programs that local enterprise offices are running, and you'll see Denise there and all of her wisdom and knowledge. If some of the themes, takeaways that have been have resonated with you there with Denise also, your local enterprise office is offering leadership workshops, owner management, development programs, and lots more. You can learn about them, as we keep saying, over on the localenterprise.ie/NWED website. Now, we have some prizes from this morning. All of you have been busy on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Keep all of those coming with the relevant hashtags NWED and tagging your local enterprise office. And our first prize winners of the morning are, we have Gay Moore, congratulations, Lynn Carberry, Sivan Devlin, Rachel Summers, Terry Morris, Gronia O'Reilly, Saivzilla on Twitter, I hope I've that right, but you'll know who you are, I'm sure, and Sarah Delahunt. All of you are our first prize winners of the day. We'll be announcing what is probably another 20 prizes throughout the rest of the day. Now, you have a coffee break from now until 11:30 to basically go get some fresh air, check some emails, get recaffeinated. We'll recommence at 11:30 with Larissa Feeney on getting to know your numbers. Enjoy the break. See you back here shortly.